Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzWeaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, pop culture, social media, technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. If this is your first time to the channel, I'd like to welcome you guys here. And if you are here on YouTube, I would encourage you guys to click on that watermark down there in the bottom right hand corner to subscribe, along with notifications. That way you guys will know when there's content here on the channel, as well as the Friday Vlog. In gaming news this week, of course, on Monday, I released the community news, which you guys can check out up here in the top right-hand corner. We had some updates to the playlist and some changes to the game modes. And of course, we can anticipate some newer game mode changes this week as well. And then there are rumors about a possible new mode for Warzone and or the Battle Royale game. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But if you guys want to check out the community news, it's up there in the top right-hand corner. Atlanta is back in the news again, as you guys are aware of the shooting of Rayshard Brooks. And I wanted to get directly into this segment because as of this week, we heard from the district attorney's office, and I wanted to read directly from the article and then the subsequent activity that followed. So, DA Paul Howard announced 11 charges against Jared Rolfe, who 5 days ago fired 3 shots at Brooks, 2 of which hit Brooks in the back, and another that hit a car with 3 people inside. Now, that in itself is another debate. But what I wanted to follow up on after that was, hours after the district attorney's announcement, Atlanta police officers were not responding to calls in 3 of the city's zones. And that was, as I understand it, at least as was going around social media, was 3, 4, and 6. Those are the zones in particular. Multiple sources within Atlanta Police Department told CNN's Ryan Young. So that was the information that was passed along to CNN. However, on social media, of course, we were hearing that the police officers were not responding to calls, that those who monitor the scanners were saying there wasn't as much activity, and or family members, friends, or others who are aware of the police officers that work in these particular zones saying that the officers had displayed a sense of reluctance or were not responding to certain calls while others had called out. The department denied the reports of officers walking off the job, saying there was a high number of call-outs on the incoming shift. So a lot of people had called in for their upcoming shift. We have enough resources to maintain operations and remain able to respond to incidents, Atlanta police tweeted. So, of course, there's always going to be a response to certain things. I was a little concerned and a little taken back by what the mayor, Keisha Bottoms, had said the other day. Of course, there should be levels of candor. There should be levels of diplomacy when expressing your thoughts and opinions. I understand that she was upset. This can create a problem, of course, not only within the community, but also the fact that if there is a growing concern that police officers were calling out or they had higher volumes of calls, indicates clearly that a community needs police officers. So this is a development story. Of course, we have the development of how the trial will play out. We won't know a lot about that just yet because things are just developing and it could take some time. Very much like up in Minnesota, we're probably going to be a while before we really get more information out of George Floyd or the case and or trial there. But nonetheless, guys, of course, I just wanted to give you the latest information that came out as of this week. And it was interesting to see how the police responded. I'll leave links to the article and information below this video. We have continuing developments within social media. If you guys have followed the channel now for nearly 3 years, you will know that as we get closer to the election of 2020, we were going to see more of a ramp up of activity within social media to censor, ban, suspend, suppress, demonetize certain groups. And now we're seeing the culmination of this starting to come together. Matter of fact, guys, I want to read directly from an article also for you guys. Google has banned Zero Hedge, a far right-wing website that often traffics in conspiracy theories, from its advertising platform over policy violations found in the comments section of stories about recent Black Lives Matter protests. Now listen, this far-right website is a bit of a stretch and sensationalizing, as well as trafficking in conspiracy theories. So we already see, as we have talked about before, because apparently, as we've come to understand it, this this call to Google was made by an activist journalist from NBC and or parts of MSNBC, which we already know have dabbled in their own areas of conspiracies, not to mention kind of a disinformation that they often put out as well. And I want to continue on with this because Google also issued a warning on Tuesday to the Federalist over comments on articles related to recent protests. Now, did you see and focus on two key points of this? It is violations found in the comment section. In the comment section of Zero Hedge and the Federalist. So again, remember we talked about Section 230, which provides platforms with protections. Now, of course, these are news agencies, so they don't have that level of protection like within social media. However, this particular individual that contacted Google about this was probably aware of these particular situations and circumstances, and it's a competitor to them, right? NBC, MSNBC, Zero Hedge, and the Federalists are competitors to these newspapers. So what better way to take out your rival, what better way to take out a competitor than to go directly after them by going to Google? So here we already see the censorship starting to take more of an effect on certain news agencies, which is very concerning. And to close this out, a Google spokesperson said in an email on Monday of this week that it demonetized the websites after determining they violated its political and content related to race. So in other words, it wasn't necessarily the Federalist or Zero Hedge that had made some sort of inflammatory statement, but the comment section of these newspapers. And we already know, for example, when Gab came out, the alternative to Twitter, when it came out, Google was going after it also for very similar reasons. And then, of course, Andrew Torba, who created Gab, came out with an app that people were using on certain browsers. Now, it was out on Firefox and Chrome, and I think now it's only limited to Brave, I think. But it was an app that allowed people to comment and respond to articles from the mainstream media, because the mainstream media years ago got rid of their comment sections because of things that were being said within it and just the typical social media wars that were taking place within these comment sections. So they have been removed because, of course, the newspaper can be held to a certain degree of responsibility, particularly when they're manipulating articles or changing articles. Now, they do this all the time, usually in the middle of the night when no one's really paying attention, but people do pay attention to this, particularly within the echo chamber of Twitter and or the Twitterazzi. Of course, they keep up with one another. But nonetheless, guys, a very concerning point that I wanted to raise with you guys, because we have been talking about this for some time, seeing how things are going to unfold as we approach the election. But guys, I'll leave links to this information below this video. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. And I just wanted to add in there, Paul Howard, the DA here in Atlanta, is currently under investigation for sexual harassment and ethics violation. Of course, that wasn't going to be in the article, but I just wanted to mention that as a follow-up to what we had mentioned earlier today. But nonetheless, guys, I want to thank all of you for your continued support. If you are watching this on DTube and or BitChute, I would encourage you guys to give me a follow there. And of course, appearing right there on the screen for those of you here on YouTube, that would be the channel icon to subscribe, along with clicking notifications. That way you guys will always know when there's content here on the channel, as well as the Friday vlog. And I will see you guys right there behind that camera next week.